Hello, Not to Shine volunteers. This is a video just for our buddies. So I wanted to touch base with you individually and just sort of go over a couple of things that are specific for buddies. Wanted to let you know that starting at 5 o'clock, Miss Bonita will have some pizza ready. Now, our buddies are asked to eat with their guest if they feel comfortable eating with the guest. Some of our guests may require a little extra help, and you may feel like you'd rather be all hands on deck and eat ahead of time, or maybe you just prefer to eat ahead of time. But we are planning Chick-fil-A for our buddies to eat with their guests, unless you are just more comfortable eating ahead of time. We are asking everybody to meet at 5:45 in the sanctuary for prayer time. And then at 6 o'clock, we want to make sure everyone is in their place. And for buddies, that means that each buddy is in their assigned seat in the sanctuary. You'll have an envelope that will have your name and your guest's name. In that envelope, you will have a lanyard for you and for your guest. The buddies will wear a gray lanyard, the gray strap. The strap will be gray. And then our guests will have a lanyard with a black strap. And your lanyard, of course, will be your name, but the guest will have some very specific information for you. First, if the parent or caretaker told us in the registration that they were a flight risk, that they might run if they get upset, or they were prone to wander, we're going to put their name in red. That way, anyone at the event could see a guest with a name tag, and if it's their name is in red, they'll know, like, let's make sure they don't get out this door or away from their buddy. There's only a few. I think I only remember 2 or 3 where the caretaker or parent said they might wonder. We're going to put their name in red, so we immediately know that. Then below their name, there's going to be their allergies listed, so you'll know what they're allergic to, and then whether or not they're allowed to ride a limo. Now, you will get your guest registration form ahead of time. Feel free to reach out to the parent or caretaker if you would like. If you want to touch base ahead of time, you can. In the registration form, it says their likes and dislikes. It talks about trigger words or trigger things. I noticed that 2 of our guests, they have trigger words of confetti. So you just never know. This year we added that to the registration form so we would know things that might potentially be upsetting for our guests. And so in that registration form, you'll find out what they like, what they don't like, trigger words, whether they want a loud or a quiet entrance. By the time they get to you at the seat in the sanctuary, they will have already done the red carpet this year. Typically, that's how the red carpet is done in Not to Shine events, but last year you walked with your guests down the red carpet. This year, they're going to do it as they are entering the church. There'll be an entrance that their family members will be with them for loud cheering, and then one for quiet cheering. But by the time they get to you, that will already be done. And so you will connect with the family members in the sanctuary at your seat. You'll ask them any questions. If you have a question, one of the questions I would ask is, has anything changed since you completed this registration form? Is there a new allergy or anything new that they're interested in, or just anything that you think would be helpful for the night? Also, our sign-in process is going to be very different, and I hope more efficient for our volunteers and for our guests. So we're going to have a QR code. And what we're going to do is put the QR code in the envelope that has your lanyards, and you're going to have you or the family member, either one, scan that QR code to make sure your guest is signed in. So that's kind of your first task, is make sure they get signed in. And when they're signed in, ask them, is there anything new or different that you want to add, to help make the night fun and safe? Make sure that you feel comfortable and they feel comfortable. And as soon as they've signed in, you've given them the lanyard, they have their flower, and all that's going to be at your seat in the sanctuary, then you're ready to start your night, and you're going to go towards the fellowship hall. On your way, you're going to pass the photo booth room, the professional photographs. You're going to pass the hair and makeup room, and these are going to be labeled. You're also going to pass the sensory room, before you ever get into the fellowship hall, which is going to be where the DJ and all the dancing and the music is. So feel free to stop by all of those places before you ever get to the music, unless your guest is like really all about just the dancing. But make sure that you tell the family members, you know, we can go ahead and have our picture made, you know, we can do the photo booth, we can stop by the sensory room, especially if they're a little unsettled, maybe they're looking or seeming a little anxious. You could visit the sensory room first. And so all those rooms are going to be labeled, but it's going to be on that hallway that connects the sanctuary to the fellowship hall. In the fellowship hall will be the DJ and dinner, dancing, and at each table where they can eat their dinner, there will also be some table activities. So maybe they want to be around all the fun, but they don't want to be on the dance floor. There'll be some stuff at each table that you can do with your guests. So crossword puzzles and things to color, word searches, those kinds of things. And then we'll have the limos return this year, and hopefully this year we'll have 2 limos. We tried that last year and one did not work out, but Owen's Funeral Home has been gracious to supply that, and so we plan to have that again this year, but hopefully 2, so there won't be that long line. So throughout the night, please do not ever leave your guest. If you have to go to the bathroom or you have to step away for some emergency, there will be people all around to help you. And they're going to have a hand either on their name tag or even just on their shirt. And they're going to be the helping hand team. And the helping hand team is there just for that purpose. They're going to be watching to see if you need help in any way whatsoever. Some of you might need water, you're so thirsty, and you could ask someone with a helping hand, could you get me some water? Or maybe you do have to go to the bathroom. If you do walk away from your guest to do something like the bathroom, please make sure you tell the person who's helping you exactly what they need to know about your guest, because you've read the registration form, they haven't. So if they're allergic to something, or they need help with something, or they communicate a certain way, please tell that person exactly what they need to know. If you are just needing help with communicating or help getting a conversation started, or you're unsure about something, the people with the helping hands, that helping hand team is there to do just that, to help you. They're not just standing around. They really want to engage, and they might come up and just start conversation, and that's just so they can be a part. But if you need help and no one's coming over, you'll know those are the people to ask, because that is why they're there. If your guest needs to go to the bathroom, all the family members have been told that we cannot help them personally with the bathroom. There's a bathroom attendant there. We can help with the door, but we can't help personally. So the parents have been told if your child needs help or in the bathroom, then they'll be texted and asked to come down and help them with the bathroom. Same thing for limo. We cannot transfer someone into the limo. Like, let's say they're in a wheelchair, we don't want you to pick them up. We don't want any of the volunteers to pick them up, and we've asked the family to come and help transfer. Because we don't want anyone to get hurt. We don't want to hurt our guests, and we don't want to hurt any of our volunteers. So please keep that in mind. All of this information about your guests will be in the registration form. So be sure you've read it. Be sure you feel comfortable with it, and that you know what it says. I'll be sending it to you through email, so you have time to review it, connect with the family if you want to, but also you could save it to your phone in case you need to reference it. You'd have the phone number, so you could text the parent. Please have your phone with you so that if you need the parent to help with the bathroom or with the limo, you can do that. But also that'll help as you use the QR code to sign your guest in. Well, you'll be needing it to sign yourself in as well when you get there. Background checks for family members. Tim Tebow Foundation says that any person, including family members, who interact with our guests must have a background check. That has been a little bit of a challenge. We even reached out for clarification, and they said, we said what we said. We meant what we said. And so they wanted every person to have a background check. Well, some of our family members, for different reasons, some did and some didn't. We didn't feel like we could keep a family member away from their child, but we still had to keep Tim Tebow Foundation regulations. So here's what we've done. If they did the background check, and a good many did, they will be wearing, the parent, a name tag that is printed with the printer, because that means I have a form and I was able to print it. If their name tag is handwritten, that means I don't have a form, and they should be accompanied by a parent guide team from upstairs in the family room. Pastor Andrew Hackler is overseeing that team and going to be helping to make sure that any parent that needs to come down that doesn't have a background check has a guide with them, and the guide will have had a background check, and they'll be bringing the parent to you And unfortunately, kind of not really chaperoning, we wouldn't say it that way, but there with the parent that does not have a background check. Unfortunate we have to do that, but we do need to follow Tim Tebow Foundation rules. So I think that's all the things I needed to tell you. Oh, at the end of the night, there'll be a message from Tim Tebow on video, likely. We always hope he'll come in person, but you never know if he shows up or not. Regardless, there'll be a message from Tim Tebow, and that message will be to share God's love with everyone, volunteers, buddies, guests, and it will be to express just how much God loves them. So that will happen at the very end of the night. They'll say something like crowning kings and queens then, but we usually crown earlier because they like to wear their crowns and tiaras throughout the night. So that's a little difference that we do. At the end of the night, go back to the sanctuary where you met the parent. In the same place where you met the parent, in those seats will be any of your personal articles. Maybe you brought a coat in, whatever you had or the guest had will still be there, and that's where you meet the parent. Please make sure the parent knows that that's where you want to meet them at the end of the night. These are things I do communicate to parents through email, but sometimes they forget or they don't read their email. That's where they drop them off is where they will pick them up. And in your registration form, it says the names of people who can pick up the guest if it's different than the parent who dropped them off with you. So you'll also have that. So please you'll be instructed to go back to the sanctuary at the end of the night so parents can reconnect with their children. It is over at 9 o'clock, so it's 6:30 to 9. Last year it was 6 to 9. This is 6:30 to 9, but we will have guests that show up before 6:30. I can assure you they are counting their sleeps already. And so they'll be there probably by 10 after 6, I would say, which is why we want to be in place by 6 p.m. So the last thing I'll say is that Tim Tebow Foundation does this event and has done it for a very, very long time with the mission or the goal of making sure all of our guests know that they are loved and specially created by God. But at Tabernacle, we want it to be broader than that. Yes, we want our guests to know that they are very special and that they are loved by us and loved by God. But something that's been on our heart has been the family members. Many of these family members are isolated. They don't have a connection group. Many of them don't know about God's love. They don't know what He has done for them. They don't have a connection. And what we want to do is make sure that we don't miss that opportunity as well. We want to make sure that every family member knows that they are loved by God and what God has done for them. Not just that, oh, you're loved by God, because I think a lot of people say, oh, I believe in God. I'm sure He loves me. But we want to make sure that we use this opportunity as a true way of reaching those families and letting them know that they are loved and what God has done for them. And what we would love is for there to be an eternal impact. We hope at the end of the night it's a fun night. We hope it's safe. I hope everyone's safe and healthy and had fun. But that's not our goal. Our goal, well, that is one goal. But the broader, bigger, more important eternal goal is that there's fruit to this night and all this effort, and that eternities would be changed. So please keep that in mind, that it's really about every single person that walks through those doors. Our mission field is clear. These are many unreached people, whether it be volunteers or family members, and we have an opportunity to be different than the world, to be different than what many of our volunteers and our family members get to experience. And we can show them God's love by the kindness, the genuine kindness and respect that we show each person, and by just truly sharing God's love with them. I think that there's nothing more you could do for me than showing Haley love. And so I think we're in a unique opportunity to do that. So if you have a parent who wants to hang out with you for a while, if they have a background check, that's okay. It's a great opportunity to connect. And more times than not, they're going to see their kids okay, and they're going to see that you're good with their kid, and they're going to go on up to the family room and have some time to just kind of connect with other families, have a nice dinner, take a little break. I hope that everybody sees that they're seen, they're known, they're loved, and walks out of there feeling like they're cared for. Just a difference. So thank you for volunteering to be a buddy. I appreciate it. And if you have any questions or concerns, please reach out, preferably before that night. But if you have anything that happens during the night, we are here to help. There will be people all around. Let us know. And again, thank you.